Today I'm sitting down with Neil Ghosh, a guy who's not just talking about change, he's out there building it. His work connects purpose, empathy, and civic renewal in a way that hits right at the heart of what we're trying to do here. Psychologist Daryl Cameron nailed it when he said, if we let ourselves become callous to others' needs, we risk losing sight of democracy and the importance of treating each other with dignity. That's not just food for thought, my friends, that is a wake-up call. Neil's story shows us that real purpose and real empathy are not just fluff. They're foundational.
So I think we have to kind of acknowledge the fear and the unknown part of it. I know I talked a lot about it because this is something coming from another country. I feel responsible that I have a duty here to cross that bridge. So that's the acknowledgement part of the fear and the unknown part. And then the other three, I talk about the responsibility part, which you asked me. What is your role? What is my role, right, in this whole thing? So I think one of the role is absolutely is what you're doing and what we are trying to have this conversation. Having this conversation everywhere possible, at a local level, at a church, at a synagogue, at a mosque, at a temple, at a fire station, at a sports bar, whatever. And the third point I will make that purpose doesn't scream at you. I think it's whispers. And so what I have learned in my journey, that sometimes you have to kind of tune out the noise to listen to your purpose.
Nice.
And everybody have a different way of doing it, Wilk. And one of the things I keep harping on, disagreement is healthy.
That's right.
Disagreement creates innovation.
That's right.
People are so afraid of disagreement. And I think I'm trying to bravery, repeat as many times I can. It was 2016. I wrote an essay called "What is the Secret of America's Success?" 2016 is not too long ago, but sometime long ago. And Pew Research went to many Americans, asked, "What is the secret of America's success?" And people said, innovation, hard work, moral courage, all are true. I wrote an essay arguing these are all true, but it's also empathy, which is running in the DNA of America. And I gave a lot of data to support my thesis. And one of the things I repeat these days, every opportunity I get, that empathy is not a blue state value or a red state value. It's an American value. We have to kind of accept that at the base of our conversation. And that brings back to your conversation on engaged citizenship. Yes. Democracy requires patience, perseverance, and with capital P, participation.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Derate the Hate podcast. I'm your host, Wilk Wilkinson, your blue-collar sage, calming outrage and helping to navigate a world divided by fog and those who would spread that fear, outrage, and grievance. The Derate the Hate podcast is proudly produced in collaboration with Braver Angels, America's largest grassroots, cross-partisan organization working towards civic renewal. This podcast amplifies the mission that we share to foster a more respectful and united America where civic friendship thrives even when we disagree. Each week, through the power of story, conversation, and connection with incredible guests, we work to build bridges instead of barriers. Not to change minds on the issues, but to change how we see one another when we differ. Because, friends, it really is about bettering the world one attitude at a time. We did not create the hate, but together we can derate the hate. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, share it with a friend, and visit braverangels.org to learn how you can get involved in the movement to bridge the partisan divide. Friends, I am so incredibly grateful that you have joined me for another powerful Derate the Hate episode. So let's get to it. Neil Ghosh is a seasoned executive, social impact strategist, and author of Do More Good. With over 30 years of experience across the nonprofit, government, philanthropic, and private sectors, Neil has helped launch and scale initiatives that have impacted lives in more than 50 countries. In this heartfelt and thought-provoking conversation, Neil shares how purpose often whispers instead of screams, and how tuning out the noise of our everyday lives can help us find that whisper. We dig into what engaged citizenship looks like, especially for immigrants contributing to the fabric of their new communities, and why teaching our children to reject hate isn't optional, it's a legacy. We also explore the radical power of empathy, the beauty of disagreement as a tool for innovation, and how business leaders can build cultures that reward micro-altruism and authentic civic engagement. Whether you're a parent, a leader, or just someone searching for deeper meaning and connection, this episode offers both inspiration and practical insight. Let's get into it with my friend, Neil Ghosh. Here we go. Neil Ghosh, thank you for joining me on the Derate the Hate podcast. It is great to see you today, man.
Great to see you. I heard about your show, so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm glad you are here because, originally, the reason that I had asked you to join me was there was a press release for the book that you have out called Do More Good, Inspiring Lessons from Extraordinary People. And I started looking into that book, Neil, and there's definitely a lot of inspiration in there. And where I'd like to start our conversation today, and I know we've got a number of things that we're going to talk about, but one of the first things I want to ask you, because this is what stood out to me in this, is Neil, what does a purpose-filled, meaningful life mean to you, Neil Ghosh?
Right. I will answer it, but I will take a little detour just to make a point here. If someone saw both of us, Wilk Wilkinson, Neil Ghosh, walking down the street, they will see a lot of difference. They will see a white guy. They will see a brown guy. If they do a little bit more Google your about you, they will find on your website you are a steadfast Christian conservative. They will Google me, maybe. They might find that I was born in a Hindu family, just like a lot of your cabinet members and former presidential candidate. If they go dig farther, they will find out that you were born in the United States and generations. And I was not. I'm a citizen, but I'm a naturalized citizen. And I'm giving you a long answer to make a point. I think the point is that in spite of the differences, I guarantee we both love our country. I guarantee we both love our families. I guarantee that we love our neighbors. And we both treasure the independence and that we have in this country, right? And so I think one of the things I talk about whenever I talk about purpose is unity does not mean uniformity. It's about having a common purpose. So that's the reason I kind of gave you a very long answer to your question of purpose, right? And purpose can vary. Purpose can vary.
That's right.
So that's my most favorite answer to a purpose question. I will say one more thing though, that there's a lot of people think purpose only happens to when you get older, when you're mature, when you have a lot of everything is all taken care of. You kind of go into soul searching. And I totally reject that. I was very young, and from a I will not call it dirt poor, but we didn't have much. And I talked a lot about in the book. My home, there was not a lot of resources, but there was no lack of empathy.
Okay.
But I had thought about purpose at a very young age. So it's not an age-related conversation or even a wealth-related conversation. So that's another point to make. And the third point I will make that purpose doesn't scream at you. I think it whispers. And so what I have learned in my journey, that sometimes you have to kind of tune out the noise to listen to your purpose. And everybody have a different way of doing it, Wilk. I think that's my thought on the issue of purpose.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Purpose does not scream at whispers, and sometimes you got to tune out the noise. Neil, I love your answer. So I know you said it was a long answer, but worth every single second of it, because this This is such a great way to start off this conversation. And I when I started looking at the book, right, Do More Good, and started looking at these different conversations and the different ways that these different people, whether they be different figures in history or just different influential and extraordinary people, have affected your life, I thought to myself, how have different people that I've encountered in my life, or different people that I've read about in my life, or different things that I've done in my life, influenced me to now be somebody who, and I make no bones about it, Neil, I'm not somebody who has saw my purpose as a young man and wanted to do good. I mean, I never really wanted to do bad, but I never found enough there to really want to do good. And I was just getting by as somebody who was just trying to get by instead of actually trying to make a difference and do good in the world. But as I was looking through your book, Neil, and saw some of the conversations you've had, or read about ways that certain people have influenced you, it really stood out to me in my own life experience how I had to, and I hadn't thought of it that way, about purpose doesn't always scream. It whispers, and you got to tune out the noise. A lot of times people, and I'll have you expand on this, a lot of times people don't have the ability to, or have not figured out a way to tune out the noise so they themselves can hear the whispers of their own purpose. So talk about how that worked for you, or how you've seen that work for other people, because tuning out the noise is often easier said than done.
It is. I'll give you a little longer answer, but then again, I'll start with something you said, the last comment. You and I have to make a decision. Everybody listening to you will have to make a decision. Do I want to live a reactive life or a proactive life? And what happening most of the time, not anybody's fault, but the moment I get up, we are living in a world of division, disruption, and sometimes I call it digital overload, right? It's so much noise you talk about. So unless, and I have to make a conscious decision that I will not be living a reactive life, because if I do, I'm just constantly worn out. I'm worn out also. I don't have energy left because I'm always reacting to whatever I'm reacting to. So I think that may be a conscious decision, irrespective of who you are, what you're trying to achieve in life. I find it very important to think through that comment. I want to have a proactive life, whatever life you want to live. So that's number one. I think a little bit more on a macro level, coming back to your broader question, the three pillars of this book are empathy, purpose, and action, right? I deliberately talk about these three pillars in a more detailed way, but let me frame the particular question you asked me, that how do we do it? And when I think about this, I kind of think about, as we're in this country now, and what's driving me. And for full disclosure, 2 months ago, I became a life member of Braver Angels.
Yes.
So I just found out that you are part of it. So I'm just sharing with you because it's what's driving me. It pains me to see some of the stuff. This is not the country I came.
That's right.
So it deeply pains me. I was 22 years old. I was very conscious. I was not a child. So it pains me where we are. And I have made it a point that I will do everything in my ability to, as a citizen, as an engaged citizen, to do something about it. So let me tell you the framework I'm talking about. So I see this under the three things. There are 4 buckets, if I may. The first one, Wilk, I call it acknowledgement. And let me explain what do I mean by acknowledgement. I think, and I have traveled a lot, not just internationally, but within the country. And I can tell you stories after stories happened to me in Wyoming, in Louisville, Kentucky, where people have been so kind to me. That is unbelievable. And it also happened people who exit me in another state. So I have to make a decision what story I'm going to share with Wilk and what story I want to be part of my DNA. So let me talk about the acknowledgement part. The acknowledgement part, what I say is a lot of people in this country are hurting.
That's right.
And are afraid. And they are concerned about their kids, their grandkids. They're concerned about their retirement. And it's more than economic wealth. They're also afraid of the culture that they grew up with. I'll give you one story to make a point. It was 2016. I was reading a Washington Post news report. This was a time when candidate Trump, a rally. And the journalist was there asking just people who went to the rally, why are you here? And I will never forget, I'm paraphrasing Will because I don't remember exactly the sentence, but I remember the story. And this lady, there was a couple, elderly couple, and asked the journalist, why are you here? And the lady said something along the line. She said that we've been buying bread from this bakery for all my life. And I go there now, and they don't speak English. Now, the story hit me really hard because it's very easy to judge this person, but I did not judge this person because for me, I saw this person was just simply afraid of the unknown. So I think we have to kind of acknowledge the fear and the unknown part of it. I know I talked a lot about it because this is something coming from another country. I feel responsible that I have a duty here to cross that bridge. So that's the acknowledgement part of the fear and the unknown part. And then the other three, I talk about the responsibility part, which you asked me. What is your role? What is my role, right, in this whole thing? So I think one of the role is absolutely is what you're doing and what we are trying to have this conversation. Having this conversation everywhere possible, at a local level, at a church, at a synagogue, at a mosque, at a temple, at a fire station, at a sports bar, whatever. And one of the things I keep harping on, disagreement is healthy.
That's right.
Disagreement creates innovation.
That's right.
People are so afraid of disagreement. And I think I'm trying to repeat as many times I can. It's okay to have disagreement, but have this conversation. So that's number one. Number two, I talk a lot about how do we teach our kids, because they're very vulnerable to reject hate.
That's right.
And you and I can have another conversation. I met a former white supremacist. I met the mother of Heather, the lady who was killed at Charlottesville, for one of my articles.
Okay.
And I asked them, how do you teach our kids to reject hate? And I learned something from them. So again, the second thing I'm saying, we have to teach our kids to reject hate. And number three, I said that we have to come out of our comfort zone, whatever the comfort zone we have, and meet people that don't look like us. And I started the conversation about us, that we look different. And we have different faith maybe, but I can guarantee if there's a purpose you and I agree on, I think you and I can be the best partner possibly anybody can imagine because we have a common purpose, right?
For sure, yes.
And the third bucket, and this may be deliberately I'm doing because I am part of that bucket, is what is the role of an immigrant? And this is a very, I will call it, if people don't want to talk about it, it's a sensitive topic, but I decided after a long time that I must talk about it. It means that they means me, us, whoever it is, that we have to learn the language. I have to engage in the community. I have to follow the local norms and regulation. Doesn't mean I'm not sacrificing my culture or whatever I learn. But when I came here, a deliberate move from my side to come to the United States. So I have a responsibility to follow the norms and regulation, to participate, to engage with you and come out of my little community, get to know other people. So I have a list of things that I talk about in many of my articles. So there is a deliberate responsibility for immigrants. And of course, the last one, I'm not going to ignore it, is the government, right? Of course, they ultimately make policies. And I, of course, hope that they make policies that are sustainable, that are inclusive, that are compassionate. And we as a citizen have complete right to vote people in and vote people out. That's what. So I think I kind of framework in that way so that we are an engaged, I call them engaged citizen.
Engaged citizen.
Yeah, I talk a lot about engaged citizenship, and you said a lot there, Neil, that we can unpack. I mean, we can certainly, we probably don't have enough time to unpack everything in one conversation today, but I think you make some, I know you make some incredible points here, and thank you for sharing. First of all, the idea that you've traveled all over, not only around the world but around this country, and just met some incredible people, and I think it is really important. Let's just stick for a second, just stick to the first two there, because obviously assimilating it as an immigrant that's come to this country, hugely important. Becoming an engaged citizen, and understanding our government, how it works, how you can be involved, how you can be part of the solution, hugely important. But let's focus on the fear part, and the fear and acknowledging the fear, the empathy that comes along with that, and then also the part where we have to reject hate, because I think the two go so hand in hand. They do, from so many of the conversations that I've had, whether it be with my work at Braver Angels, my work with the Pro Human Foundation, my conversations with former white supremacists and race relations superheroes like Daryl Davis. I mean, the reality is, Neil, and you hit the nail on the head, is a lot of times people do not understand that a lot of what is said, and maybe said in not the best way, and then taken by others in the wrong way, but a lot of that stems in fear. People, especially when it comes to the immigration topic, right? And we hear people, maybe a Trump rally or some kind of a situation where just like this, the situation where you were talking about, where the person says, hey, the bakery that I was going to for so long, for such a big part of my life, now I go to that bakery and the people there don't even speak English. Is it a statement, or is it a statement of fear? What all is that? Is there something more there that we would need to dig into? But the rejection of hate has to be instilled in everybody. I don't care what color you are, where you come from, what your cultural sensibilities are, and how those relate to other people. The rejection of hate has got to be the most important thing. And I think, as my friend Daryl Davis says, a lot of that hate is the result of fear. People fear that which they don't understand. When we think about, or when I think about people on my side of the political spectrum, like I said, I'm a Christian conservative, and a lot of times conservatives in general get a very bad rap because they're seen as anti-immigrant or anti-immigration, which I don't believe at all. That has not been my experience. But when we think about that, or how they are portrayed in the media by certain people, in that there's no delineation between illegal immigration and legal immigration and and things like that, and then trying to conflate those two and then put them in the same bucket and then say that all immigration is bad. That is a whole that's just a nasty cycle of events that promotes that fear, outrage, and grievance that I often talk about, and people capitalize on that. But just you and I sitting here right now, Neil, has it been your life experience that quite often people seem afraid of you as an immigrant, or look at you as somebody who, I mean, because you're quite clearly somebody who has come here as a younger adult, but has done incredible things. Looking at your history and the way that you've made huge accomplishments, whether it be in the world of business or in your ventures in the nonprofit world, and the people that you've been able to reach out to and connect with, and the things that you've been able to do. What has your experience been as far as people? Do you feel, now, unfortunately, I heard you say that somebody threw eggs at you at one time. I had eggs thrown at me, but probably for different reasons. But the reality is this: Do you think that is indicative of how a lot of people see legal immigrants, especially ones that have done incredible things as you have, or talk about that experience for me, if you would?
Absolutely. This is such an important topic. I will do my best. I think let me share a very quick story. It was 2016. I wrote an essay called "What is the Secret of America's Success?" 2016 is not too long ago, but sometime long ago. And Pew Research went to many Americans, asked, "What is the secret of America's success?" And people said, bravery, innovation, hard work, moral courage, all are true. I wrote an essay arguing these are all true, but it's also empathy, which is running in the DNA of America. And I gave a lot of data to support my thesis. And one of the things I repeat these days, every opportunity I get, that empathy is not a blue state value or a red state value. It's an American value. We have to kind of accept that at the base of our conversation.
Yes.
And then let's talk about examples, because otherwise talk doesn't mean anything. Yes, I talked about that story of eggs, but let me tell you, there are many other stories. I'll give you one example. I was in Wyoming with my son. He was in middle school that time. We stopped at a coffee shop, and my son said, "Dad, I want to see wildlife." And I said, "Well, I'm not sure where the wildlife is, but we'll drive and find out." We're driving, and then my son said, Dad, somebody's following us." So I pulled over. It's not many. There's only my car, another car behind me. And there was a Caucasian lady in her 50s. And I said, "Yeah, can I help you?" And she came out of her car. And she said, "I heard your son wanted to see wildlife. Just follow me. I will show you around." She spent an hour and a half of her time showing a brown guy and his kid wildlife in Wyoming. So, Wilk, I can tell you stories after stories. So there are all stories, right? We have to decide what story I want to embrace, what story I want to reject. It's up to me.
That's right.
It's absolutely up to me, right? So I have a friend just like you. He's a former Marine, evangelical Christian, huge Trump supporter in every sense of the form. But when I do a check mark of values, kindness, empathy, I will give him very, very high marks. So it has nothing to do with who you vote for and what you're doing in your life. And this is a confusion, whether it's media, I have all the answers, Will. I'm trying my best to find that answer, because I just met my friend who is a wonderful human being in any shape or form. But how do we ignite that empathy is the question that I know this will not be done in this conversation. You and I and others, you mentioned Daryl Davis and others who are working on it. How do I ignite that empathy? How do I speak the language that you understand? How do I come across to you that you're not afraid of me? These are the things we have to answer and find those common grounds.
Yeah, what a beautiful story. I almost get goosebumps from hearing stories like that. How this lady just happened over here, and then takes her time to show you. And I love the fact, Neil, that you bring up the point that what story are we going to focus on in our life? It's why I talk so much about gratitude. Because what is it in our life that we are going to spend the majority of our time focusing on?
Absolutely.
Right? We started our conversation talking about a purpose-filled and meaningful life. Well, it is very easy to fall astray when we start to focus on all that which is negative in our life, all that which is out of our control in our life. We can easily fall astray and just fall into this ugly doldrum of misery, because we forget how to focus on the good things. We forget to focus on all of those things that we do have as opposed to those things that we don't. All of those things that we are grateful for as opposed to those things that annoy us and anger us and those things that we are fearful of. It's so important that people, again, just as you said, do you want to have a proactive life? Do you want to focus on the good in life? Do you want to build a life based on what is positive, or do you want to focus on that which is negative? Because if we want to be the example that other people want to see, the way that I want to round this out, you were talking about your son, Neil, and I know one of the chapters, I believe it's the final chapter in your book, talks about a legacy. what legacy do I want to leave for my children, right? I do one of the same things that means so much to me that I know means to you in your story is, and one of the reasons that I do what I do in this depolarization space and in this mindset space and trying to help people now with the work that I do is because I decided a long time ago, what kind of legacy do I want to leave for my children? Neil, talk some about that, because I know obviously you wrapped up your book, Do More Good, with a chapter on legacy and what that means, having your son in your life and what he has taught you and what you want to teach him.
I always believed, if you remember, I kind of touched a little bit on how my mindset was shaped when I was young, right? I saw how small action, very small action, can have tremendous impact on the other person. So I've seen it as a child, and that kind of shaped my DNA, the power of small action. In terms of another thing I want to share with you, kids don't do what we ask them to do. They do what they see.
What they see from us.
Right. Absolutely. I kind of big believer of that. So I can give you many, many stories. And one of the things I did with him, Ryan and I, we went to Indian reservation, the other Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always wanted to meet them. And we were in a reservation and without going into the detail of the story, there was a lot of people said, don't go, it's pretty dangerous. Actually, there was a movie made on that particular spot. Somebody was killed. And same thing, we are having this conversation. I reject to judge. This whole judgment factor is polluting our society, because every time a particular person, whether maybe from an ethnic background or color, whatever it is, we immediately judge the entire clan. And that is a dangerous thing to do.
That's
so
right.
there are many stories. So I deliberately went there with my son. And believe me, Wilk, after the whole day, we are driving back. And the story is long, so I'm not going to give you all the details. We're driving back, and my son looked at me and said, Dad, they're wonderful people. So I looked at him back. I said, there are wonderful people everywhere. We just have to find them. We have to reach out to them. Otherwise, we'll never know. I would have never known if I hadn't gone to that place with him and spent half a day in an unknown place, which I was told not to go because of they were worried about my safety and security. And we came out. Not only we came out with a beautiful painting that one of the guy, he gave it to me because I was confused. I was just complimenting the painting. He got a ladder. He got up and he gave me the painting. I was a little confused. I said, no. Anyway, I took it. It's in my house.
Beautiful.
But the moral of the story is that you have to be very conscious what we are teaching the next generation, because you and I will be gone. I want to leave a country that is more safe, more prosperous, more inclusive for my kids. As simple as that.
Yes. And that's absolutely beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. We have to work all of us, we must work to leave a better country for our children. We must provide that example. You are right. It's not what we teach them, it's what we show them. And that's why we have to be the example. Whether it be for our kids or the people around us, we have to be the change that we want to see in this world. And there are so many people out there right now that, whether they believe they are doing good or not, a lot of the examples that they are setting it's painful to watch.
Can I mention one thing, Wilk, because this will, I think, will resonate with you deeply. We started the conversation about how you and I enjoy our independence.
Yes.
In this country and the freedom we have in this country. And you are born in a country which are defined by all definition, the most powerful democracy in the world. It's just a fact because of many reasons. I was born in a country which by definition is the largest democracy in the world because of the population.
Yeah.
Two of us got lucky, very lucky. You talk about gratitude, because not every country is like that. And any day I will take this country than any other country, right? So what does that mean? So one of the things I keep saying, democracy is messy. It is slow. It is imperfect. But it is the only form of governance that allows Wilk, allows Neil to have a voice. That works for people like you and I, who are ordinary people. So, but democracy also needs, coming back to what you said, not just patience, perseverance, it requires participation. And that brings back to your conversation on engaged citizenship.
Yeah.
Democracy requires patience, perseverance, and with capital P, participation. So I wanted to circle that back to you, how important it is. It's not about doing good. It's for my own selfish reason. I want to maintain my democracy. I want to make sure I love my fellow citizen for a very selfish reason.
Patience, persistence, and participation. I love it. I love it. And yeah, so thank you so much, Neil. Thank you for participating in the D-Rate the Hate podcast. Thank you for becoming a new participant in the Braver Angels movement. The Braver Angels, incredible organization, largest grassroots cross-partisan organization working towards bridging the divide, bridging our political divides, working towards civic renewal. So yeah, finding out today in our conversation that you signed up as a member at Braver Angels, that is just a real bonus. Neil, tell the DTH listeners where they can find out more about you and your book, Do More Good, Inspiring Lessons from Extraordinary People.
It's pretty much in all major retailers from Amazon to Walmart to Target, but they can also go to my website, which is my name really, neilghosh.org, or they can Google it, Neil Ghosh, Do More Good. They should be able to find it.
Beautiful. All that will be in the show notes for our listeners. And Neil, I look forward to more conversations in the future. I really do. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Friends, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And if there's anything in this episode that provided exceptional value to you, please make sure to hit that share button. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to get the D-Rate the Hate podcast sent to your email inbox every week. We really are better together. So please take a moment to visit braverangels.org and consider joining the movement towards civic renewal and bridging our political divides. This is Wilk wrapping up for the week saying get out there, be kind to one another, be grateful for everything you've got, and remember, it's up to you to make every day the day that you want it to be. With that, my friends, I'm going to back on out of here and we will catch you next week. Take care.